If you're trying to get better at teaching comprehension, it helps to know which books about the subject are actually worth your time and also which ones you might need to work up to. So today I'm sharing my favorite books about understanding and teaching reading comprehension, along with some honest notes about which ones are more accessible and which ones require a little more from you as a reader. If you're new here, my name is Anna Geiger. I'm the author of Reach All Readers, host of the Reach All Readers podcast, and creator of the Reach All Readers Plus membership. And my mission is to help K to third grade teachers bridge the gap between what we know from research and what we do in the classroom every day. So I'm going to start with the Reading Comprehension Blueprint by Nancy Hennessy. I'll be honest, this was a book I bought early on when it came out, but it was something I kept putting off. It looks pretty dense. It wasn't until I was required to read it in my Mount St. Joseph coursework that I finally picked it up. And I'm really glad I did. This is a higher level text, so it's not the easiest place to start. But what it does really well is give you a blueprint for delivering high quality instruction that helps students construct meaning from challenging texts. That's from the back of the book. But the blueprint is about analyzing what parts of a text might trip your students up. And that could be things like background knowledge, key vocabulary, working with challenging sentences. The book gives you the blueprint for figuring out what those things might be and then how to teach them. And they've also since released a companion book with sample lessons included, which is really great, and I recommend buying both if you get this book. Next, we have Know Better, Do Better, Comprehension by David and Meredith Lieben. Their first book, also called Know Better, Do Better, is actually one of the first books I read when I began to learn about the science of reading. And it was about moving from whole language to a more structured approach when teaching reading. And it was really, really helpful for me. And I love that it just was really easy for me to relate to and didn't make me feel really guilty and bad about what I've been doing because I was already feeling bad enough. It helped me understand the holes in my approach and rethink how I helped teachers teach reading. This book is different. This book is about comprehension. I really like their emphasis on putting the text at the center. I think they sort of undervalue strategies, but they do address them, and they talk about specific things that you can do to help students understand the text, like asking the right questions, teaching text structure. They even give a routine for teaching morphology to help students understand vocabulary. So I really do appreciate their emphasis on putting the text first, because strategies are important, but only so much as they help us learn from the text. Know Better, Do Better is probably a really good book to build background knowledge before you tackle a more challenging book like this one. Understanding and Teaching Reading Comprehension by O'Kell, Kane, and Elbro. This is an excellent book. I read it twice. The first time, I really didn't understand it very much. The second time, I understood it a lot more because I had built the background knowledge to understand all the things that they were talking about. So it's a denser text. I love the way they summarize the research and then show you how to apply it. But again, it's a little challenging if this vocabulary is new to you. So I'd say don't start here, but make sure you get here. The book talks about how to assess comprehension, what characteristics poor comprehenders tend to share, how to teach students to make inferences, vocabulary learning, how sentences connect, text structure, and a lot more. It's not a long book, but it's definitely a meaty one. And now we have Illuminating Comprehension and Close Reading by Beck and Sandora. I had heard about close reading many times, but this was the first book that really, for me, laid it out very clearly as to what it is and how we might do it with our students. It shares a simple procedure for planning and teaching a close reading lesson, and you are going to love the detailed examples throughout. So it'll really show you how to do this in your classroom if you want to move your students toward higher levels of comprehension, which of course all of us do. And finally, I'm going to conclude with 3 books all about giving students access to complex text. In other words, helping students understand grade level and above text that may be something they're not able to do on their own, but they can do with your support. The first book I read about this was the first one that was published of the 3, and that is Teaching Skills for Complex Text with Heidi Ann Mesmer. I really found her books to be extremely well organized and easy to follow. This one is no exception. It was published in 2017, so a little on the older side compared to the others, but it's really, really good. And all 3 of these, I should say, are mostly for teaching second grade and above. So it covers things like how to teach connectives, how to help students understand main ideas, how to summarize, how to pull information from both fiction and nonfiction text. Lots of practical, specific information here about how to teach the skills that will help students understand complex text. And then we have Leveled Reading, Leveled Lives by Tim Shanahan. This one is really going to help you understand the research behind why we want students reading complex text in the first place. That's what most of the book is all about. So he really clearly explains the research for teachers, but then he goes into helping you understand how to scaffold complex text reading. That's getting a couple chapters toward the end. If you want a book that's all about scaffolding complex text reading, just like the first one I shared, I recommend this one. This is Raising Up Readers by Jennifer Thronson. It's probably my favorite because I love the layout of the book. So in each scaffold that she presents, before reading, during reading, and after reading scaffolds, she explains why the scaffold is included, why it matters, what to consider before implementing it, how to implement it, and how to practice it. So I actually was able to write an endorsement for this book, and I'll just read that to you quickly here. I wrote, all students need access to rich, challenging texts to grow as readers, but how do we support them? This book lights the way. Raising Up Readers is a book teachers will keep close as their go-to resource for scaffolding complex texts. So there you have it. Recommendations for books about teaching comprehension. I also have a video about my recommendations for books about teaching phonics. If you like hearing about my book recommendations, let me know in the comments below. I'll also link to my full growing book list about the science of reading in the description below this video. If you'd like to go deeper on comprehension, I'd like to invite you to my workshop, Building Comprehension from the Ground Up. You can find a link to enroll below this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.